beautiful day, and I'm doing my Sunday sum up. So I am actually going to be out of town. Okay, this is not Sunday, but I'm going to be out of town leaving today. We fly out today. We're going to California. We're doing a camping trip with some really good friends that we haven't seen in a while. We usually go on these camping trips every year, and we haven't done it in obviously quite a few years. I'm just so excited. It's going to be relaxing. I'll get a chance to read. We'll maybe do some hiking. We like to kind of explore the area, even though we know the area really well, but we like to go to little towns. And there's a specific berry farm we always go get pies from. And so I will probably show you footage for that in my next Sunday sum up. But for now, I wasn't actually going to have a sum up this weekend because I knew I wouldn't really have a lot of time to edit and whatnot. But these flies, for some reason, when I sit out here on this bench, there's always flies buzzing over my head. I don't know why. It's like a ghost. I mean, I could be anywhere else out in the woods. The flies leave me alone. The second I sit on this bench, the flies come in and dive bomb me. And I think it has something to do with this bench. Maybe those are the spirits of somebody. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. So I wasn't going to do a sum up. And then I've read 3 books. Just kidding. It's 4 books. I finished 4 books in the last few days. So that's even more exciting. And I was like, let me just do a quick little sum up. Let me talk about those 3 books. Give you a little bit of footage of what happened in the last week, and then next week I'll get back to my original kind of sum-ups where I'm trying to complete all my reviews for the June books. So I'm not going to be doing that here today. I'm just going to give you the 3 books that I read in the last few days, and I'm really excited about them because it was a pretty good reading couple of days. All right, so it is September 13th, and I have finished my 6th book of the month. Pretty darn good if you ask me. I actually went through this one pretty quickly because I was loving it so much and I was so excited about it. I have finished China Rich Girlfriend by Kwan, and what's cool about this is that it's my first book for the Aurelium Magical Readathon Challenge, and I've completed 1 challenge for the Not Safe for Workathon as well with this book. So I feel super accomplished. For the Magical Readathon, this fulfills the Ashthorn Tree, which is a book that keeps tempting you or is at the top of your TBR. This one has been at the top of my TBR since I read the first book, Crazy Rich Asians. And then for the Not Safe for Workathon, I have received a bite mark because this is the book that I've been dying to sink my teeth into. So this is a 5 stars for me. I'm sure if you heard my review of Crazy Rich Asians, you're not going to be surprised at all. I absolutely loved this. I had a really hard time putting it down. In fact, last night I was up till 2:30 trying to finish it. I did finally put it down because I knew I needed to sleep, but then I finished it this morning, so I couldn't resist. It was so good. Leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger too, which I'm really excited about, very intrigued by. I'm like, what the heck happened here? How did this relationship happen all of a sudden? So I'm very curious to see what happens in the 3rd book. I don't want to give you kind of a re-synopsis of Crazy Rich Asians because I talked about that in a recent sum up. So I will link it up here and down in the description box below if you're curious to know more about this series. And this one takes you deeper into this world of extravagance. And it starts getting, I don't want to say, well, it's definitely ridiculous, but you start seeing the insidious sides. I mean, you saw a lot of insidious things happen in the first book, don't get me wrong, but this is more like the darker sides of wealth, the kind of things they can get away with. And this goes more into like legally what kind of crimes they can get away with. And so I was very fascinated by this. I don't want to say you meet new characters because you do have a few new characters, but mostly you're just getting to know some of the other side characters even more and really starting to hate one particular character, a certain husband that shall remain nameless at the moment, but he becomes this really horrible character. And Kitty Pong, who was the soap opera star from the previous book, becomes a big feature character within this one. So it's a lot of fun. You're still continuing on in Nick and Rachel's story, but it's so much more than that. They're not really the focus characters in this book anymore, although they play a really dominant role in one of the stories in this book. But there are other really large stories that are starting to converge with this. So I can't even say that there are main characters anymore because equal time is focused on other big characters. So it's so good. It's making my little Jane Austen heart. I mean, this is way more extravagant than Jane Austen. But it's making my little love for Jane Austen heart so happy. I just love it. I think it's appalling. in the most delightful way possible. I can't wait to read the last book in the series. I saw that Kevin Kwan came out with a book last year called Sex and Vanity. I'm so tempted to read everything that he writes. However, I noticed that it got really, really unfortunate reviews, and so I'll probably read it anyways because I'm loving this series so much, but I'm curious to see where he went wrong, or if I love it, and I'll be surprised. So anyways, I'm just really excited. Like take 200. It's the 14th of September and I have finished my 7th book, which I'm really excited about because September's feeling good and I'm still making progress on a lot of books. So I have finished Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is the 2nd book in the Lunar Chronicles series and also the 2nd book we're reading for the Lunaralong that myself and Danielle from Book Horror are hosting. I'm just really excited about this series because there's so much action and there's so many fun little twists and turns. So the first book starts everything. It's called Cinder and it's a retelling of Cinderella. It's a YA sci-fi series and you're following this girl named Cinder who is a cyborg, and there's some other secrets we learn about her as we go along. But she falls in love with Kai, who is the prince of the Eastern Commonwealth, and there's tensions about this war that could be happening between Luna, which is lunar, the moon, and the people that are called the Lunars on the moon. Queen Lavana is the head of those people. There's just a lot going on. So there's the beginning of that story, which gets carried on into Scarlet because it doesn't get resolved in the first book. And then we meet our next set of characters that join into this big, I'm guessing, ultimate battle, and that's Scarlet and Wolf. And this book is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. So obviously Scarlet with her Little Red Riding Hood, basically her hair. And then Wolf, who he's actually, in here it looks like an actual wolf, but in the book he's not a wolf. He's in the shape of a human. And of course, as you can imagine, she's trying to find her grandmother and she meets a wolf on the way. So, you know, it's perfect. And then you kind of see how her story gets mixed in with Cinder's stories. And of course, at the end of this, there's still no resolution. There's going to be 2 more books in this series. So we're going to get a lot more that happens before the ultimate battle, I'm guessing. So the one thing that I felt about the first book that I continue to feel is that Marissa Meyer is all about that action. She likes to give you lots of intense action scenes and she just keeps things coming at you. She just keeps the story moving along and she likes to throw a lot of little surprises. So there's a lot of little things that you discovered along the way with the characters. You're discovering them with the characters and it's fun to get these little snippets here that you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And some of them I've guessed and some of them I haven't. And it's just fun. It's just so much fun. And I recommend this series if you're looking for something, I say light, but there, you know, there's dark moments in here because there's battling and lots of death and whatnot, but it still is a light, fun series, sci-fi series, and it's very quick and easy to get into. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 stars. I actually am going to rate it a little higher than I rated Cinder because I liked it a little bit more. You still have Cinder and Kai in this one, but you also get some new characters like Thorn and then Scarlet and Wolf. So it's just getting more and more exciting and I can't wait to get to the next book in the series, which is Crest. Like, yeah, this is the kind of series where you're just like, okay, I'm ready for the next one. It's like eating candy. It's like eating candy and it's delicious. And the good thing about this book is it also is going to play towards my Magical Readathon and my Not Safe for Workathon. So for Magical Readathon, this doesn't help me along my Aurelian path, unfortunately, but it does help me with my character. I am officially a dwarf because of this book, and the prompt for that was to read a sci-fi. So perfect. I'm a dwarf, and I'm excited to, you know, do all the dwarf things. And then for the Not Safe for Workathon, this was my book for Pet Play, which is a textured book or a book with an animal on the cover. So we've got Wolf in wolf form here, and that is an animal on the cover.
Both of these men still live in Washington, or did at the time of my return through that city from slavery in January last. The lights admitted through the open door enabled me to observe the room in which I was confined.
All right, so it's still the 14th, and I have finished my 8th book of the month. So I couldn't help myself. I was just sitting here doing something, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up Tokyo Ghoul by Ishida, and I was like, let me see how far I can get into this. Haven't ever read a manga before. Just was kind of like, I just want to take a look at it, see how I feel. And of course, I finished it fairly quickly. And it was interesting. It was fun. It was... I'm honestly, I don't know how to rate this. I'm gonna give it a 3.75 because of the enjoyment I got out of it. Because I really did end up liking Ken Kaneki at the end. But it took me a while to, get used to the style of manga, which that wasn't so bad. I didn't have a problem figuring out how to read a manga considering I've never read one before. More for me, it's the getting the story out of the images, as opposed to, reading a story. It just took me a little while to get into it. But once I did, I was really enjoying the characters. I found it fascinating and cute in kind of a morbid way, like actually in really a morbid way, because there's definitely a lot of morbid moments in this. That was kind of fun though. So I'm going to pick up the second one, although there's quite a wait list at my library for it. So it's going to take a while to get to it, but I will be reading the next one and I'm looking forward to seeing kind of where this goes. I don't have anything else to compare it to manga wise. So like, is this a good manga? I'm not sure because I haven't read any others. And is it good compared to other graphic novels? I'd say it's better than some of the other ones I read. So ultimately, when it comes to reading books, comic format like this, it's just gonna take me time getting used to it. And I think that the more I do it, the more I'll enjoy it. And then the easier it'll be for me to rate books like this, because at this point, I was really unsure. Like, what should I rate it? Paige from Pages with Paige was a little concerned for me because she had heard that this manga series was really intense. And I could see that it would be, but I am a machine and I don't feel fear, apparently. So it was, like I said, cute in a very morbid sort of way. What it's about is this boy named Ken Kaneki who is going on a date with this girl who he finds out is a ghoul. And something happens and he, as you can see, is changed in a way. He's changed in a way and he's coming to terms with it. Ghouls are something that he never really understood or knew much about, but they're becoming a bigger and bigger problem within Tokyo. The incidence of ghouls is becoming more and more recognized in the media. So people are becoming more aware of these attacks and these deaths, and Ken is becoming a central figure in this whole issue. It's strange, but it's fun. So luckily, this actually works for the Magical Readathon and the Not Safe for Workathon. And so for the Magical Readathon, this was actually the Aurelium Arc, which is the portal to the Aurelium Academy. And the prompt for that was to read a book that has a school setting. And this does have a school setting. Ken is in his first year at university. Then this fulfills two prompts for the Not Safe for Workathon. First is Ice Play, which is a book with chilling subject matter. And it talks about ghouls, so definitely very chilling. There is death in this book. There is eating of flesh in this book, so that's pretty chilling. And then the other one was Soft Limit, which is a book that is slightly out of my comfort zone. Slightly because, this wasn't a difficult book to read, but it is out of my comfort zone because it was my very first manga. And I've liked graphic novels up to this point, but I haven't loved any graphic novels, so I was just like, do I really like this format of book? Like, there's Cece. So my neighbors are wonderful, and occasionally they get my mom and I a little treat, and mine was this blended Scotch whiskey called the Famous Grouse. Haven't ever tried it, and I'm gonna give it a go today. If you don't know anything about me, one thing you should know is that I love Scotch, so I drink it neat. I'm hardcore like that. I'm excited to give this one a try. So it is the 15th of the month, and I finished my 9th book, which I'm really excited about. And I can't wait to share this book with you because I lost a lot of sleep over this book. It was so good. It was perfect for me. It was perfect for me. I know it probably wasn't a perfect book, but Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I loved this book so dang much. 5 stars. Easily a 5-star. Probably one of my favorite books of the year so far because it had everything I wanted in it. Okay, well, let me give you a quick synopsis, although I won't be able to give you too much because I don't want to give any spoilers away. But it's about this guy named Jason Dessen, and he loves his family. He's living this life as a professor. You know, I guess from an economic success standpoint, he's living a fairly average life, but he loves his family, and to get to this point in his life, he's made a lot of sacrifices. Him and his wife have both made a lot of sacrifices of their own talent, but they have formed this beautiful family unit. And one night, Jason goes to congratulate his friend on an award he's received, and as he's walking home from the bar, he gets kidnapped, and he is held at gunpoint. Everything is so frightening. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know if he's going to see his family again, and he gets brought out to this warehouse where he ends up getting drugged, and he falls under, and when he wakes up, he is in like this quarantine / hospital ward sort of thing. He's basically going through this whole process of decontamination, but everybody around him is treating him like they know him and he should know them. And he's confused. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know where the heck his family is. He doesn't know who kidnapped him. All he knows is he's waking up in this strange place where everybody seems to know him. But he slowly starts finding out that he is this famous scientist who is really wealthy and successful and well-loved, but he never ended up getting married. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have a child. He's frightened because this isn't his life. He knows what his life is and this isn't it. And so he basically goes on this journey to find out what the heck happened to him. It's incredible. I'm sure it's a theme that's been used before. I don't think I've read a book like this, but I know there are movies kind of similar to this, and I'm sure that is a theme that's been thought of by many. But I loved the way Blake Crouch did it, and I loved that you had all the scientific components to it to make it feel very scientific-y, and that's my new word, scientific-y, and and you had the thrills, the excitement of a thriller. Like, this really does have your heart racing, have you not being able to put the book down, which is why I lost a lot of sleep, because I could not put this book down. But also gives you that confusion and that really mind-boggling element that really good science fiction books can do. But what topped it all off for me was the heart. This book has so much heart. Looking at someone who is just trying to get back to his family, who loves and cares his wife and his son so much that he would do anything for them. And it was so deep and so thoughtful and so beautiful. I just thought that this whole book was beautiful. It made me cry. It made me feel so many feelings for this main character, Jason Dessen. And it does screw with you. A lot of people are like, this book screwed with my brain. And I can understand, because it does. It's so twisted in a lot of ways that it's frightening. It's frightening. The scenarios that are in here are frightening. I'm very happy with this book. I'm very happy that I read it. I kind of knew that I would enjoy it. That's why I ended up picking it up. And that's also why I've been excited to read it, even though I haven't been able to. I just had a feeling. And my feelings are correct. I'm starting to realize that I kind of know which books I'm going to really love. And then, of course, which books I'm not going to love. So maybe it seems like I'm just rating books very easily, but I think I'm getting better at choosing, at picking books that I know that I'm going to enjoy. Granted, there's always going to be books that I don't care for quite as much as others, but I just knew. So this one, luckily, is also a book that fulfills my novice path for the Magical Readathon, and it also fulfills a couple of prompts for Not Safe for Workathon. So for the novice path, I'm getting along the way, and I have hit the Obsidian Falls. My prompt was to read a thriller or mystery, and this is a very thrilling thriller. This is perfect for that prompt. And so then for Not Safe for Workathon, I have continued my scene, and now I've added some rope, because this is a book that I've been wanting to get into, but I've been tied up. Haven't had a chance to read it, haven't had a chance to get it on my TBR. And then it also gives me a little bit of electric play. So for this one, it's a little more tricky, because this is a book that features elements or something along those lines. And I wasn't going for the whole, fire, water, basic element concept. I was kind of thinking about like scientific elements, and dark matter is an element that is currently undescribed and not very well known. It's not an actual element on the periodic table, but it is an element that scientists are really trying to understand better. And I think it works. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to read Dark Matter and you love thrillers and you love sci-fi, this is a great one. I think you'll at least have a lot of fun reading it. There you go. Those are the books. And what I'm working on right now and what I'm taking with me on my trip, I'm currently working on Mysteries of Udolpho. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm doing 26 pages a day. I'm almost halfway in Mysteries of Udolpho, which I feel good about. And then I'm going to be starting Mad Ship today by Robin Hobb. That I'm also going to be doing a certain number of pages a day because I need to get that one done before the end of the month. So like 56 pages a day for that one. And then the book I'm currently actively working on, though, is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. So I was supposed to read this one last month, buddy reading it with Liz from For Booking Out Loud. Luckily, it's been a very loose buddy read, but she has finished it, so I do want to get that one done. So that's it. That's what I'm currently actively working on. I'm so excited for my weekend because it's going to be really relaxing, and then school starts next week, so I'm not as excited for that. But I hope to have a decent amount of progress for you on my books next week. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more of my sum ups. I have been having a lot of fun doing these videos, and it's a much better format for me. There, look, he's even landed on my head. What the heck, ballsy. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.